A new documentary titled October 8th is set to be released, aiming to show the increase in antisemitism in the U.S. following the Hamas attack on October 7th. The film intends to provide a thorough and well-organized view of how widespread antisemitism has become and how Hamas played a role in fostering it. Directed by Wendy Sachs and executive produced by and featuring actress Debra Messing, the documentary is scheduled to open in theaters around the U.S. on March 14th. Its tagline, "The Fight for the Soul of America," reflects the film's ambition to deeply examine this issue. The documentary brings together interviews with a variety of individuals, including Jewish leaders, political analysts, academics, authors, actors, and students, who share their perspectives and suggest potential ways forward. Notable interviewees include former Meta COO Sheryl Sandberg, U.S. Congressman Richie Torres, actor Michael Rappaport, Mozab Hassan Youssef, son of a Hamas founder and former Shin Bet operative, author and activist Noah Tishby, and Columbia professor Shai Davidai. The film suggests that hearing these individuals speak carries a greater impact than simply seeing their social media posts. In developments concerning the ongoing conflict in the region, an Israeli drone strike in South Lebanon hit a car, resulting in the death of one person identified by the Israeli military as a member of Hezbollah. The strike occurred in the village of Burj El Mlauk. This incident is part of a series of attacks since a U.S.-brokered ceasefire that ended a previous Israel-Hezbollah war went into effect in late November. The Israeli military stated that the Hezbollah member killed was active in the border village of Kfar Kila. The strike took place a day after a Lebanese military court sentenced two individuals to prison for providing digital information to Israel. According to judicial officials, one person received a 15-year sentence, and the other was sentenced to 10 years. A third person was released due to a lack of evidence. These officials reported that the two convicted individuals used sophisticated equipment to scan cellular telephone networks in Beirut and its southern suburbs, where Hezbollah's headquarters are located. They also allegedly supplied Israel with approximately 1,500 photographs from these areas. Meanwhile, in the Gaza Strip, Palestinian medics claimed that Israeli airstrikes killed 8 people, then later changed the death toll had risen to 9, but did not provide evidence. These strikes occurred in the northern town of Beit Lahia, near the border. The Palestinian Journalists Protection Center, a local Palestinian propaganda group, claimed that 3 of the deceased were journalists who were documenting aid distribution. A local Hamas official identified one of the people killed as Mahmoud Islam, who was operating a drone. The Israeli military said that it targeted 2 individuals operating a drone that posed a threat to soldiers in the area and conducted another strike on a group who came to collect the drone equipment. The army identified all those targeted as suspected militants. Hamas condemned the attack, accusing Israel of making a serious escalation, and claimed it was an attempt to sabotage the implementation of the ceasefire agreement. Regarding the ongoing ceasefire negotiations, Hamas announced that it would only release one innocent American-Israeli hostage and the bodies of 4 other civilian hostages who died in captivity if Israel implements their ceasefire agreement, describing it as an exceptional deal aimed at restarting the truce. Edan Alexander, a 21-year-old who grew up in New Jersey, was kidnapped during the Hamas attack on October 7, 2023, and is the last living U.S. citizen held in Gaza. Hamas still holds 59 hostages, with 35 believed to be deceased. A senior Hamas official stated that long-delayed talks regarding the ceasefire's second phase would need to begin on the day of the release and last no more than 50 days. Hamas also demands that Israel cease barring the entry of humanitarian aid and withdraw from a strategic corridor along Gaza's border, with Egypt giving Israel no way to search the aid packages for weapons smuggling. Additionally, Hamas is expected to demand the release of more Palestinians accused of crimes in exchange for the remaining hostages. Israel did not immediately comment on Hamas's offer, as government offices were closed for the Sabbath. However, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office had previously said that Hamas is engaging in psychological warfare, following the initial offer before Hamas detailed its conditions. The U.S. reported that it had presented a proposal to extend the ceasefire by a few weeks to allow for negotiations on a permanent truce, noting that Hamas was publicly claiming flexibility while privately making demands deemed entirely impractical. Talks have continued in Egypt, with Egypt and Qatar playing key roles as mediators in the indirect negotiations between Israel and Hamas. The first phase of the ceasefire involved the release of 25 Israeli hostages and the bodies of 8 others who were kidnapped by Hamas in exchange for nearly 2,000 Palestinians accused of crimes. Israeli forces also withdrew to a buffer zone along Gaza's border and allowed increased humanitarian aid. The war began with the Hamas-led attack into southern Israel, which resulted in approximately 1,200 deaths, mostly civilians, and the kidnapping of 251 hostages.